Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Pariprajakacharya Astotra Satasri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhansa Pariprajakacharya Astotra Satasri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Vivo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We have gathered on a most auspicious occasion for the welcoming of the deities, Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra. And so, to honor the occasion, I will read about the importance of deity worship. We will read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, Pure Devotional Service. When I first arrived, I spoke on text 23, and today I will speak on text 22. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Please repeat. Barhaite,
Barhaite,
te, nayane, naranam, lingani, Vishnu, na, nirikshata, ye, pado, nrinam, tau, druma, janma, bhajo, kshetrani, nanuvrajato, hare, Yo. Pariyate te nayanam, nayane naranam. Lingani Vishnor nanirikshato ye.
Lingani Vishnor
Padonrinam tau drumajanma bhajo. Kshetrani nanu vrajato harer yo. Bharaite te nayane naranam. Lingani Vishnor nanirikshato ye. Padauninam tau dromajanma bhajao. Kshetrani nanu vrajato harer yo. Barhaite te nayane naranam. Lingani Vishnor nanirikshato ye. Padauninam tau drumajanma bhajo. Kshetrani nanu vrajato harer yo. Anyone like to try? Lingani Vishnurnaririshito ye. Pado Nilamto Drumajanma Bhajo. Kshetrani Nanu Vrajato Hareyo. Any of the ladies?
Parhaitete nayane naranam.
Parhaitete nayane naranam.
Lingani Vishnurnaririshito ye.
Lingani Vishnurnaririshito ye.
Adau nrinamto drumajanma bhajo.
Padau nrinamto drumajanma bhajo.
Kshetrani nanu vrajato hareryo.
Kshetrani nanu vrajato hareyo.
Barhaite, like plumes of a peacock.
Like plumes of a peacock.
Te, those.
Nayane,
Nayane, eyes.
eyes.
Naranam, of men. Lingani, forms. Vishnu, of the personality of Godhead.
Of the personality of Godhead.
Na, does not.
Does not.
Nirikshata, look upon.
Look upon.
Yea, all such.
All such.
Padao, legs. Rinam, of men. Tau, those. Drumajanma, being born of the tree.
Being born of the tree.
Bhajao, like that. Kshetrani, holy places. Na, never. Anuvrajata, goes after. Hare, of the Lord. Yo, which. Translation. The eyes which do not look at the symbolic representations of the personality of Godhead Vishnu, his forms, name, quality, etc., are like those printed on the plumes of the peacock, and the legs which do not move to the holy places, where the Lord is remembered, are considered to be like tree trunks. Please repeat. The eyes which do not look at the symbolic representations of the personality of Godhead Vishnu, his forms, name, quality, etc., are like those printed on the plumes of the peacock, and the legs which do not move to the holy places, where the Lord is remembered, are considered to be like tree trunks. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Especially for the householder devotees, the path of deity worship is strongly recommended. As far as possible, every householder, by the direction of the spiritual master, must install the deity of Vishnu. Forms like Radha Krishna, Lakshmi Narayan, or Sitaram especially, or any other form of the Lord, like Nrsimha, Varaha, Gaur-Nitai, Matsya, Kurma, Shalagram Shila, and many other forms of Vishnu, like Trivikram, Keshava, Achyuta, Vasudeva, Narayan, and Damodar, as recommended in the Vaishnav Tantras or Puranas. And one's family should worship strictly, following the directions and regulations of Archana Vidhi. So, Shameshwar Prabhu?
Stepped out.
Huh?
Just stepped out. Shameshwar.
This is for you. Should I repeat what I read?
Yes.
Okay. And your children are here.
Shorish.
Okay.
She's probably playing.
And your wife?
She just went to look for a boyfriend. Got a small daughter.
Oh, I see. She found her. Okay. All right, so please listen attentively. So, translation. The eyes which do not look at the symbolic representations of the personality of Godhead Vishnu are like those printed on the plumes of the peacock. And the legs which do not move to the holy places, where the Lord is remembered, are considered to be like tree trunks. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Especially for the householder devotees. How many here are householders? Most, almost all. Especially for the householder devotees, the path of deity worship is strongly recommended. As far as possible, every householder, by the direction of the spiritual master, must install the deity of Vishnu, forms like Radha Krishna, Lakshmi Narayan, or Sitaram especially, or any other form of the Lord, like Nrsimha, Varaha, Gaur-Nitai, Matsya, Kurma, Shalagram Shila, and many other forms of Vishnu, like Trivikram, Keshava, Achyuta, Vasudeva, Narayan, and Damodar, as recommended in the Vaishnav Tantras or Puranas. And one's family should worship strictly following the directions and regulations of Archana Siddhi. Any member of the family who is above 12 years of age. So, how old are you? Let each child stand up and say how old you are.
9. We're twins.
All right, let's start again. Okay, how old are you?
9.
You're both 9. Are you twins? Oh, okay. And then the other one? 12. Okay, we got you. We got your number. Any member of the family who is above 12 years of age should be initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, and all the members of the household should be engaged in the daily service of the Lord, beginning from morning 4 a.m. till night 10 p.m. by performing Mangal Aratrika, Niranjana, Archana, Puja, Kirtan, Shringar, Bhoga Vaikali, Sandhya Aratrika, Pata Bhoga at night, Sayan Aratrika, etc. So it might sound, some of the terms might sound foreign, but Mangal Aratrika, we know that's first of the day. Niranjana, it's a type of worship. Archana is a general term for deity worship. Puja, also like a general term. Kirtan, now we all know kirtan. And I've heard that one of the children here is very good at kirtan. Okay. Shringar. What does Shringar mean? Yes. Dressing and decorating. Bhoga Vaikali. What is that? Offering food. Offering bhoga, offering food. Sandhya Aratrika. Evening arati. Pata. Yes. Yes. Reading, reciting Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhoga.
Offering.
At night. And Shayan Aratrika. Yeah, that's the last arti of the night. Engagement in such worship of the deity under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master will greatly help the householders to purify their very existence and make rapid progress in spiritual knowledge. Simple theoretical book knowledge is not sufficient for a neophyte devotee. Book knowledge is theoretical, whereas the archana process is practical. Spiritual knowledge must be developed by a combination of theoretical and practical knowledge, and that is the guaranteed way for attainment of spiritual perfection. Now, Srila Prabhupada explains, based on Shastra, that there are two processes. One is called Bhagavat Marg, which is essentially chanting and hearing about Krishna. And the other is Pantratriki Vidhi, which is the path of deity worship. And for very advanced devotees, like Paramahamsas, chanting and hearing is sufficient. But for other devotees, which means most devotees, both are required. And those two paths of Bhagavat Marg and Pantratriki Vidhi are compared to two tracks in a railway. In order for the train to go forward, it needs to be on both tracks. If it's on only one track, it can be derailed and fall over. So that's why we emphasize both, and pretty much in all of Srila Prabhupada's temples, both are practiced. Spiritual knowledge must be developed by a combination of theoretical and practical knowledge. And that is the guaranteed way for attainment of spiritual perfection. The training of devotional service for a neophyte devotee completely depends on the expert spiritual master who knows how to lead his disciple to make gradual progress towards the path back home, back to Godhead. One should not become a pseudo-spiritual master as a matter of business to meet one's family expenditures. One must be an expert spiritual master to deliver the disciple from the clutches of impending death. So there's a very important verse in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that says, Guru nasasyat, Janani yasatyaj, Pita nasasyat. But the idea is no one should become a guru, no one should become a father, no one should become a mother, no one should become a spiritual or a superior. One should not accept a superior position unless one can deliver his or her dependent from the repetition of birth and death. So, therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, one must be an expert spiritual master to deliver the disciple from the clutches of impending death. But this responsibility lies not only with the spiritual master for his disciples, but also with the husband for delivering his wife, and for the parents for delivering their children. And in his purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that one must be very responsible in discharging his or her duties. And the only way that one can deliver one's dependents from the repetition of birth and death is if one becomes a pure devotee. So everyone who's a guru or a father or a mother or a husband is responsible to deliver his or her dependents from impending death. And that can be done only if one becomes a pure devotee. A pure devotee can be defined in different ways, but a practical working definition is someone who is surrendered to the orders of the spiritual master. In one letter, Srila Prabhupada wrote to a disciple. That disciple thought that one of the devotees in ISKCON was a pure devotee. And from the way Prabhupada replied to the letter, it seemed that disciple was suggesting that only that pure devotee should be followed and not others. And Srila Prabhupada wrote back that, so-and-so is a good soul. But, do not be mistaken. Anyone who is sincerely following the orders of the spiritual masters, surrendered to the spiritual masters, a pure devotee. So we can take that definition of pure devotee, which, is something that we can all attain. We should. If we're going to be a mother, father, or husband. We have to, in order to discharge our duties properly. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has defined the bona fide qualities of the spiritual master, and one of the verses in that description reads, Shri Vigraharadhana Nityanana Shringaratan Mandiram Yuktasya bhaktam stranyujatoki Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Shri Vigraha is the archa, or suitable worshipable form of the Lord, and the disciple should be engaged in worshipping the deity regularly by shringar, by proper decoration and dressing, and also by mandira marjana, the matter of cleansing the temple. Well, that's also part of deity worship, cleansing the temple. In fact, once in Calcutta, Srila Prabhupada raised the question, what is the duty of the spiritual master and what is the duty of the disciples? And then Srila Prabhupada gave the answer that the duty of the spiritual master is to serve Krishna, and the duty of the disciples is to assist the spiritual master. And he gave the example that the spiritual master, as a servant of Krishna, is responsible to see that the temple is clean. And so the disciples can clean the temple and be thinking that they are doing this to assist their spiritual master in his service to Krishna. So cleaning is very important. Srila Prabhupada said the more you clean the temple, the more you clean your heart. And there's no gradation on the absolute platform of devotional service. It's not that the service of offering arti on the altar is higher and the service of cleaning the temple is lower. No, that is not the correct understanding. All service is absolute, and cleaning the temple is as important as offering the arti. And in fact, one might get more mercy by cleaning the temple than by offering the arti. The spiritual master teaches the neophyte devotee all these kindly and personally to help him gradually in the realization of the transcendental name, quality, form, etc. of the Lord. Only attention engaged in the service of the Lord, especially in dressing and decorating the temple, accompanied by musical kirtan and spiritual instructions from scriptures, can save the common man from the hellish cinema attractions and rubbish sex songs broadcast everywhere by radios. Well, the same principle applies. Of course, people have other ways of tuning into this nonsense, besides radios now, which, well, anyway, but the idea is that to give up the inferior, we have to be engaged in the superior. We cannot just negate that no Maya, but we have to have the positive alternative of Krishna. There's a beautiful verse in the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Yat Pada Pankaja Pilasa Vilasa Bhaktya. And the idea is that material desires flow like waves in a river without cessation. And there's no way to overcome those material desires other than devotional service to Krishna Vasudeva. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada gives the example that yes, material desires are like the waves of a river which flow without cessation. But the river flows somewhere. It flows into the ocean. And sometimes it happens at high tide that the waves of the ocean become more prominent than the waves of the river. And the waves of the ocean overflood the river. And thus the desires to serve Krishna become more prominent than the material desires. So that's the only escape from material desires, which bind us to the material world and cause us to suffer in so many ways. And that is if we develop superior desires. And those desires become more prominent than the material desires. If one is unable to maintain a temple at home, he should go to another's temple, where all the above performances are regularly executed. Visiting the temple of a devotee, and that obviously can apply to our ISKCON temple. Visiting the temple of a devotee and looking at the profusely decorated forms of the Lord, well dressed, in a well-decorated, sanctified temple, naturally infuse the mundane mind with spiritual inspiration. Then the second part of the verse says that people who don't go to the holy places, their legs are like the trunks of trees. So now Srila Prabhupada says, one should visit holy places like Vrindavan, where such temples and worship of the deity are specifically maintained. The two go together, the temple worship and the holy places. Formerly, all rich men, like kings and rich merchants, constructed such temples under the direction of expert devotees of the Lord, like the six Goswamis. And it is the duty of the common man to take advantage of these temples and festivals observed in the holy places of pilgrimage by following in the footsteps of great devotees, Anuvraja. So we discussed this word anu the other day in relation to Srimad Bhagavatam 2.1.11, Anukirtanam. Anu means to follow, so one should engage in kirtan constantly, following the ways of the great authorities, and continuously. Now the six Goswamis were mendicants. They didn't have any money, but sometimes wealthy persons like kings or merchants became inspired to offer service, and the six Goswamis had them build temples. One such case was Srila Sanatana Goswami, who had a deity named Madan Mohan. And Sanatana Goswami, he was a poor mendicant, and he would just beg alms and get some atta, some wheat flour, and he would put the make dough from the wheat flour and make balls, and cook the balls in fire and offer that to Madan Mohan. So one day Madan Mohan said to Sanatana Goswami, every day you just offer me these bread balls. Is that the best you can do? And Sanatana Goswami said, Lord, whatever you provide, I offer you. And Madan Mohan said, well, can't you at least offer me some salt with the bread balls? So shortly thereafter, there was a big barge, like a boat, carrying a large shipment of salt to be sold. And that barge got stuck on a sandbar on the banks of the Yamuna, and it would not move. And the owner, one Mr. Kapoor, he was very worried, like what is going to happen to his salt and his barge. So he's looking for some help, and back then, 500 years ago, Vrindavan was not very populated. And in fact, even in recent times, like Srila Prabhupada had a nice devotee and supporter who lived in Vrindavan near the Krishna Balaram temple named Bhagatji. His actual name was Vishwambar Seth, I believe. And he said in his childhood, he could walk all the way from Vrindavan to Govardhan and never see the sun because the trees were so thick. And that was, whatever, 100 years ago. So anyway, there were not many people in Vrindavan then, and so Mr. Kapoor was looking for some help. He saw like a little light on the hill, so he came up the hill. He met Sanatan Goswami, and he said, this is the problem. I don't know what to do. And Sanatan Goswami said, well, I don't know if I can help you, but I think Madan Mohan, my deity, he can help you. So I guess they prayed to Madan Mohan, and the boat got freed from being stuck, and he was able to sell his shipment of salt and make a good profit. And he felt very indebted to Sanatan Goswami and Madan Mohan. And so he built the temple, beautiful temple that's still there in Vrindavan. So formerly, all rich men, like kings and rich merchants, constructed such temples under the direction of expert devotees of the Lord, like the 6 Goswamis. And it is the duty of the common man to take advantage of these temples and festivals observed in the holy places of pilgrimage by following in the footsteps of great devotees. Anuvraja. One should not visit all these sanctified pilgrimage places and temples with sightseeing in mind. But one must go to such temples and sanctified places, immortalized by the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, and be guided by proper men who know the science. This is called Anuvraja. Anu means to follow. So fortunately, in Vrindavan and Mayapur and Jagannath Puri, we have devotees who are, competent to guide visitors, pilgrims, and give them the proper vision with which to see the deities and the holy places, and to engage in service in the holy places. It is therefore best to follow the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master, even in visiting temples and the holy places of pilgrimage. One who does not move in that way is as good as a standing tree condemned by the Lord not to move. In other words, if you're not going to go to holy places and to temples, then you might as well be a tree and stand still, because you're going to other places has no value. One who does not move in that way is as good as a standing tree condemned by the Lord not to move. The moving tendency of the human being is misused by visiting places for sightseeing. The best purpose of such traveling tendencies could be fulfilled by visiting the holy places established by great acharyas, and thereby not being misled by the atheistic propaganda of money-making men who have no knowledge of spiritual matters. So there are certainly many attractions for sightseers. Recently, two devotees from Mumbai came to California, and one of the devotees has a sister who lives in California. So the sister was planning to take them to Disneyland. Now, at that time, and the plan was that after Disneyland they were going to come and cook for me. So the lady who was there to cook suggested, actually it's better that they come a few days early so they can, learn how we cook for you. And then they'll be able to do it properly. So I wrote them this idea, and they immediately, dropped the plan to go to Disneyland, which is just as well, in my humble opinion. I've never been to Disneyland. But I'm not envious if someone goes. But I'm just saying that I think their time was better utilized by coming to our ashram. So that should be our motto, that, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, param dristo nivartante, that one can give up the inferior taste of sense gratification by the superior taste of devotional service, Krishna consciousness. And of course, all activities should be accompanied by the chanting of the holy name, including deity worship. Srila Jiva Goswami states very emphatically that, and that's how we have all of our artis, accompanied by kirtan. So, good. Just one other point about deity worship, which Srila Prabhupada makes in a purport in the Bhagavad Gita, and that is that the worship that we offer to the deity, of course, in one sense the deity is the Supreme Lord, but he says that the worship offered to the deity goes to the Supreme Lord, and he gives the example that if you put a letter in a mailbox, it's as good as putting the letter in in India they would say the GPO, the main post office. But you can't put the letter in any box. It has to be an authorized box of the postal department, and it has certain characteristics that indicate this is a place where you can deposit your letters for the postal service. So he's saying in the same way, our worship, the worship that we offer to the deity is as good as offering it, directly to the Supreme Lord. But you can't just worship any form. I mean, there are unfortunately, I guess, of course, one category is demigods, but we already discussed that. It's an offense to consider the demigods to be equal to or independent of Lord Vishnu or Krishna, so no demigods. And sometimes people even make up deities. There was a, I don't know, it was a movie or something, Jai Santoshi Ma in India. It turns out that Santoshi Ma was made up. There actually was no such thing as Santoshi Ma. They just made it up. So, yeah, so no demigods, no imaginary made-up forms. I've heard it in India, people say, you know, as long as you have faith, it doesn't matter what you worship. You get the same result, it's just a matter of faith. But that's not true. I mean, it has to be authorized, and Srila Prabhupada has repeatedly stated that the deity worship must be done in the authorized way, under the guidance of the spiritual master and according to the Shastra. He said that as soon as we start to concoct in the matter of deity worship, everything will be spoiled. So that's very important. And yeah. And of course, there's basic instructions in the Nectar of Devotion, and then our governing body commission, GBC, has put together some books on deity worship with, you know, all the mantras and details. So yeah, it's good when we're going to worship the deity to know the proper methods and to apply them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So are there any questions or comments? Yes? Sure.
I understand the importance of deity worship. Thank you for stressing on that. But in a poor country like India, where there are not enough material resources to take care of basic necessities, how does it make sense to build temples and spend the resources on deity worship?
That is a very good question. But I'm not sure if the basis of the question is correct, that there are not enough resources. Just the other day I was hearing Srila Prabhupada speak about how Krishna provides food for everyone. And he was saying that in a room there could be hundreds of ants who need 1 grain of sugar or whatever, and they're all getting their 1 grain. And in the jungle there are elephants who eat 40 kilos a day, and they get their 40 kilos. So he's saying actually God is providing food for everyone. And it's only the human beings who face the illusion of scarcity because of not living in harmony with God's laws. Temples are meant to distribute prasad. And in fact, in our temple in Mayapur, Srila Prabhupada said that, no one within 10 miles of the temple should go hungry. So the temples do distribute prasad. In fact, Srila Prabhupada said that previously they didn't have restaurants in India because people could just go to the temples and get Mahaprasad. So, yeah, all the big temples distribute profuse prasad, and the ISKCON temples do too. So, So if people come to temples and they become God conscious, then definitely they won't have any hunger problem. Generally, if devotees have a problem related to eating, it's how not to eat too much, how to accept all the food that the other devotees are offering them. So yeah. Yes. Oh, Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada made very clear that actually the world could have 10 times the amount of population. The problem is mismanagement. It is not that there is no lack of resources. It is bad management. I remember very clearly how Prabhupada emphasized that, because everything is available, just like here in America, we have a huge amount of everything. As a matter of fact, I think we throw away or
It's
get rid
true.
of almost 50–60% of our food. So there's no lack of food in the world. There could be even more. And as you all well know, there is poor government management, and there is corruption due to the desire for sense gratification, lust, greed. All of these propensities are there. In the times of the Rajas and the kings, when they were properly understanding what was required to maintain the population, everything was satisfactory. And if a man was poor, he didn't aspire to have more, but he had enough. And that's the problem.
Yeah, that's true. They often they dispose of food because they want to keep the prices up. So it's true, there is no scarcity. In fact, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, used to say that there is no scarcity. The only scarcity is of Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
The initial purpose, it says like deity worship in the forms, in the Archa Vigraha forms we should worship as a family. But what if it doesn't have the deities, like say we have photos or those kind of forms? Is it a bona fide and it's a recommended one to continue?
Yeah, I mean, there are different substances of which deities can be made, like wood, metal, stone, and one is paint. So a painting or a picture can also be a deity, and you can offer arti to the picture, you can offer your food to the picture. But some of the other items, like dressing and decorating, you can't. You might or might not know the story of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. But he was one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and the other of the 6 Goswamis, had deities. And not just the 6 Goswamis, many devotees in Vrindavan had deities. But he had only Shalagram Shila. So on the eve of Nishinga Chaturdasi, the devotees were decorating their deities and preparing for festivals. And Gopal Bhatta Goswami was feeling sort of sorry that he couldn't, decorate his Shalagram Shila the way they were decorating their deities. So that Shalagram Shila manifested the most beautiful form, considered the most beautiful form of any of the deities in Vrindavan, of Radha Raman. So that Radha, the deity of Radharaman in Vrindavan started as Gopal Bhatta Goswami's Shalagram Shila. Maybe your picture will become a deity. Or not. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
So you're talking about the post box.
Yes.
Which is authorized. So now there are many deities available in the market, in the shops. We go to shops and we buy the deities. When does it really become authorized, or how do we know that this is a bona fide deity? Because there are some dimensions. Do we have to, those who worship it at home, do we have to take care of those aspects of deity worship? And how do we know that really, because there is one pastime where Abhiram Thakur goes to different temples and bows down to Shaligram Shila, and it was not a bona fide Shaligram Shila, it was a track. There is one like that. So how do we know exactly that, like in temples we do Pran Pratishtha and so many different ceremonies are there, but in the home, how do we understand that it's authorized deity worship?
Well, I mean, we had a Pran Pratishtha in our ashram in California, which was performed, with the help of His Holiness Indradyumna Swami and Sri Prahlad Das. And Sri Prahlad Das is very learned. He lived in Mayapur for many years with Bhaktivedanta Purna Swami. He learned a lot. And he explained, and it was true, it struck me as true, that the Pran Pratishtha is to create faith that, the deity has entered into that form. But, and along with that, a commitment to service of the deity. But actually, because Krishna is absolute, his form and he are not different. So the deity form of Krishna, or Gaur-Nitai, is Krishna, or Gaur-Nitai. So in that sense, you don't really need to do the Pran Pratishtha, which is there for that purpose of, creating faith and inspiring commitment to the service. So if you get a bona fide deity in the form of Radha Krishna or Gaur-Nitai, then even without the Pran Pratishtha ceremony, they are Radha and Krishna, Gaur-Nitai, or whoever, Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. But it's, the main thing is the consciousness. As Srila Prabhupada said, if you see the deity as Krishna, the deity will speak to you. And if you see the deity as stone, then for you the deity will remain as stone forever. So it's really, yeyatamam prapadyante, as you surrender to the Lord, he reciprocates. And if you approach the deity as the Lord, then the Lord will reveal himself in the form of the deity. Yes, Rukmini?
There's a story in that regard that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada was supposed to come somewhere to install a deity, and one of his disciples was getting everything ready and getting the deity ready for the installation. And when Srila Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur arrived, then he said, "Oh, this deity has already been installed." he was saying that because his disciple had done this preparation with so much love, that, because the disciple had that consciousness, therefore Krishna had come.
That's very nice. Jai. Yes, Lalita Devi?
Most of us in this list have deities at home. And we also have some attraction to serve deities at the temple. And in a seminar at Gopinath, I had heard that home deities are expansions of temple deities. So our focus should always be temple deities.
Oh, that's true. I mean, Srila Prabhupada did want the devotees to worship the temple deities, and he was concerned that if they had, if they were in a position to go to the temple, he was concerned that if they had home deities, they might neglect the temple worship. So that is true. Yes.
Prabhupada also said that the reason that we have to have deities is because we don't have enough cloth to cover Varaharupa. That would be impossible. So therefore, even though we see it all as one deity per se, actually the Supreme Lord is everything that we're looking at. We just, in a neophyte state, have to see the deity in order to appreciate what is actually present to us.
So, all right.
It is getting a little late, and the hosts are requesting kindly that we move on to the article.
Well, I was just looking for the host. I was just going to ask the host what's next.
The hosts have requested that you perform the first arati, then we move on to the temple room. And it is a little smaller, but they are requesting that we move there, we perform the arati, and they will sing, somebody will sing kirtan. And then the prasadam will be served.
Okay. We got our marching orders. All right, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.